You walk into a room full of industry leaders, potential clients, and career game changers. Your palms are sweaty, your heart is racing, and you have exactly 30 seconds to make an impression that could transform your professional life forever. That moment happened to me 3 years ago at a tech conference in San Francisco. I was a junior marketing coordinator with big dreams but zero networking skills. I watched from the corner as confident professionals effortlessly connected with each other, exchanging business cards like they were trading valuable commodities. I knew I had to learn their secret. Today, I'm going to share everything I discovered about mastering corporate introductions and building networking connections that actually matter. By the end of this video, you'll have the exact framework that helped me land 3 job offers, secure 5 major clients, and build a professional network of over 500 meaningful connections. If you're ready to transform your career through the power of authentic networking, hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. The psychology behind memorable introductions. Before we talk tactics, let's understand what's really happening when you introduce yourself in a business setting. Your brain and the other person's brain are conducting a rapid-fire assessment in the first 7 seconds of meeting. This isn't just small talk, it's survival instinct dressed up in business attire. Dr. Amy Cuddy's research at Harvard Business School reveals that people judge you on 2 primary dimensions within seconds: trustworthiness and competence. The fascinating part: trustworthiness matters more than competence. People want to know if they can trust you before they care about what you can do. This explains why the smartest person in the room isn't always the most successful networker. It's the person who makes others feel comfortable, valued, and understood. I learned this lesson the hard way. During my first networking event disaster, I spent the entire evening trying to impress people with my technical knowledge, rattling off statistics and industry jargon like a walking Wikipedia page. I collected exactly 0 business cards that night and left feeling completely defeated. The breakthrough came when I realized that networking isn't about showcasing your brilliance. It's about creating genuine human connections that happen to occur in professional settings. The Spark Framework for Corporate Introductions. After studying hundreds of successful networkers and testing countless approaches, I developed what I call the Spark Framework. This 5-step system will help you create introductions that people actually remember and want to continue. SIGN stands for Smile and Strong Presence. Your physical presence speaks before you even open your mouth. Research from UCLA shows that 55% of communication is body language. Walk with purpose, maintain open posture, and offer a genuine smile, not the fake, teeth-baring grimace that screams desperation, but the kind of smile that reaches your eyes and suggests you're genuinely happy to meet this person. P represents personal connection. This is where most people go wrong. They launch into their elevator pitch without establishing any human connection first. Instead, start with something personal but professional. I love your presentation on sustainable marketing, or your company's recent expansion into Asia is fascinating, shows you've done your homework, and see them as more than just another networking target. A means, authentic introduction. Here's your moment to share who you are. But with a twist, don't just state your job title. Share your purpose or passion. Instead of "I'm a financial analyst," try "I help small businesses make sense of their numbers so they can focus on what they love." This approach is memorable because it focuses on impact rather than just function. Now represents relevant value. This is the secret sauce that separates amateur networkers from professionals. Within your first conversation, find a way to offer something valuable. It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe you know someone they should meet, have an article that would interest them, or can provide insights from your industry. The key is giving before you ever think about getting. KAOS stands for keep the connection alive. The conversation doesn't end when you walk away. It ends when you follow up. But we'll dive deeper into this crucial step later in the video. Let me show you how this looks in real life. Last month at a fintech conference, I approached the CEO of a startup that was struggling with customer acquisition. Instead of immediately pitching my services, I said, "I really admired your honesty during the panel about the challenges of building trust in financial services. I actually faced something similar when I was helping a client in the cryptocurrency space. Would you be interested in hearing how we solved it?" That conversation led to a 6-month consulting contract worth $50,000. The Spark framework works because it feels natural and focuses on mutual benefit rather than one-sided selling. Mastering the 30-second introduction. Your elevator pitch is probably terrible. I know this because 90% of the elevator pitches I hear sound like robots reciting their resume. They're forgettable, impersonal, and often way too long. The most effective business introductions aren't pitches at all. They're stories. Specifically, they're 30-second stories that follow a simple structure: challenge, action, result, and relevance. Here's how it works. Challenge. Briefly mention a problem you solve or situation you improve. Action. Describe what you do about it. Result. Share the outcome or impact. Relevance. Connect it to the person you're speaking with or the current conversation. For example, instead of saying, "I'm a digital marketing consultant who helps businesses increase their online presence," try this approach. "Last quarter, I worked with a family restaurant that was struggling to compete with chain restaurants in their area. We developed a hyper-local social media strategy that increased their foot traffic by 40% in just 3 months. I'm always curious about how local businesses in different industries are adapting to digital marketing challenges." Notice how this version tells a mini story, includes specific results, and ends with curiosity about their situation rather than a sales pitch. It's conversational, memorable, and naturally leads to further discussion. The key is having 3 to 5 versions of your introduction, ready, tailored for different audiences and situations. Your introduction to a potential client should differ from your introduction to a potential employer, which should differ from your introduction to a peer in your industry. Practice these introductions until they feel natural, not rehearsed. Record yourself on your phone and listen back. Do you sound conversational or robotic? Are you speaking at a natural pace or rushing through like you're reading from a script? The goal is to sound like you're sharing something interesting with a friend, not delivering a presentation. Reading the room. Adapting your approach. Every networking situation has its own personality, and successful networkers learn to adapt their approach accordingly. The strategy that works at a casual industry meetup might fall flat at a formal board dinner. Understanding these nuances can be the difference between memorable connections and awkward encounters. I learned this lesson during a pharmaceutical conference where I made the mistake of using the same casual approach I'd perfected at tech meetups. The result was a series of polite but distant conversations that led nowhere. The culture was more formal, the pace was more deliberate, and relationship building happened differently. Formal corporate events require a more structured approach. People expect clear introductions with titles and company names. Conversations tend to be shorter and more focused on business outcomes. Your introduction should be crisp, professional, and include specific credentials or achievements that establish credibility quickly. Industry conferences and trade shows offer more flexibility. People are there to learn and connect, so they're generally more open to longer conversations. This is where your expertise and industry insights become most valuable. Share relevant experiences, ask thoughtful questions about industry trends, and don't be afraid to offer opinions on controversial topics if you can back them up. Casual networking events and meetups allow for the most personal approach. People are relaxed, conversations flow more naturally, and there's often more time to build genuine rapport before diving into business topics. This is where storytelling and personal connections shine. Internal corporate networking requires the most nuanced approach. You're building relationships with colleagues, not clients or partners. Focus on collaboration opportunities, shared challenges, and ways you can support each other's success within the organization. The secret is observing the energy and communication style of successful people at each type of event. Are they using formal language or casual conversation? Are they exchanging business cards immediately or after longer conversations? Are they standing in small groups or moving frequently between conversations? Mirror the successful patterns you observe. Here's the hard truth about networking that nobody talks about. Most people are terrible at it because they're focused on what they can get rather than what they can give. This transactional mindset creates superficial connections that dissolve the moment the immediate opportunity disappears. Authentic business relationships are built on the same foundation as personal relationships: mutual respect, genuine interest in each other's success, and consistent value exchange over time. The difference is that business relationships have a professional context and clear professional benefits for both parties. The investment mindset changes everything. Instead of asking, "What can this person do for me?" start with, "How can I help this person succeed?" This shift creates a completely different energy in your conversations. People can sense when you're genuinely interested in their challenges and goals versus when you're just looking for opportunities to sell or advance yourself. One of my most valuable business relationships started when I met Sarah, a startup founder, at a networking breakfast. Instead of pitching my services, I spent our entire conversation learning about her challenges, scaling her team. Over the following months, I introduced her to 3 potential employees, shared relevant articles about scaling startups, and connected her with 2 potential investors. I never asked for anything in return. 2 years later, when I was launching my own consulting practice, Sarah became my first client and referred 5 additional clients worth over $200,000 in revenue. She often tells people that she works with me because she trusts me completely, and that trust was built through consistent value giving long before any business transaction occurred. The consistency principle is equally important. Authentic relationships require ongoing nurturing, not just periodic contact when you need something. Set up systems to stay in touch with your network regularly. This doesn't mean bombarding people with emails or social media messages. It means thoughtful, valuable contact at appropriate intervals. I use a simple system where I categorize my professional relationships into 3 groups: core connections, who I interact with; monthly, important connections, who I reach out to quarterly; and broader network connections, who I contact twice per year. The key is providing value in each interaction, whether it's sharing an interesting article, making an introduction, or simply checking in on a project they mentioned months ago. The follow-up formula that actually works. Most networking fails in the follow-up phase. You meet someone interesting, exchange contact information, promise to stay in touch, and then nothing happens. Or worse, You send a generic, nice to meet you email that gets deleted immediately. Effective follow-up requires 3 elements: timing, personalization, and value. Get any of these wrong, and your carefully crafted introduction becomes meaningless. Timing matters more than most people realize. The optimal follow-up window is 24 to 48 hours after meeting someone. Wait longer, and you risk being forgotten among the dozens of other people they met. Follow up too quickly, and you might seem desperate or pushy. The sweet spot is the next business day if you met on a weekday, or Monday if you met over the weekend. Personalization separates you from everyone else. Your follow-up message should reference specific details from your conversation. Mention the challenge they're facing, the project they're excited about, or the mutual connection you discovered. This proves you are actually listening and helps them remember who you are among all the people they met. Value is what transforms a polite acknowledgement into a meaningful connection. Every follow-up should include something useful, a relevant article, an introduction to someone who could help them, information about a resource they mentioned needing, or insights related to their industry challenge. Here's my proven follow-up template that has generated response rates over 80%. Subject line that references your conversation. Following up on our conversation about scaling customer support. Opening that shows you remember them specifically. It was great meeting you at the TechCrunch conference yesterday. I really enjoyed our conversation about the challenges you're facing with customer support as your startup scales from 100 to 1,000 customers. Value delivery. I mentioned that I had worked with a similar company last year. I've attached a case study that shows exactly how we helped them reduce response times by 60% while improving customer satisfaction scores. I thought the automation strategies might be relevant to your situation. Soft call to action. I'd love to hear how your implementation goes if you decide to try any of these approaches. And please let me know if I can be helpful as you continue scaling your support operations. Professional closing. Looking forward to staying connected as your company grows. This formula works because it focuses entirely on helping them solve a problem or achieve a goal. You're not asking for anything except the opportunity to be useful. Modern networking extends far beyond face-to-face interactions. Digital platforms have created unprecedented opportunities to build relationships with people across industries and geographic boundaries. However, digital networking requires different strategies than in-person networking. LinkedIn is the foundation of professional digital networking, but most people use it incorrectly. They treat it like a resume hosting service rather than a relationship-building platform. The key is creating content and engaging with others' content in ways that demonstrate your expertise and provide value to your network. Instead of just connecting with people you meet, engage with their content regularly, comment thoughtfully on their posts, share their articles with your own insights added, and create content that addresses challenges your network faces. This approach keeps you visible and valuable to your connections between in-person interactions. Industry-specific platforms often provide more targeted networking opportunities than general platforms. For example, GitHub for developers, Behance for designers, or AngelList for startup professionals. These platforms allow you to showcase your work while connecting with others who share your professional interests and challenges. Virtual events and webinars have become powerful networking opportunities, especially since they often include chat functions and breakout rooms that facilitate connections. The key is being strategic about which events you attend and actively participating rather than passively consuming content. I've built several valuable relationships through virtual events. By being actively engaged in chat discussions, asking thoughtful questions during Q&A sessions, and following up with other attendees who made interesting comments or asked great questions. Email newsletters and content creation can position you as a valuable connection before you even meet people. When you consistently create valuable content around your area of expertise, people in your industry begin to recognize your name and associate you with helpful insights. This makes introductions much easier and more effective. The digital networking strategy that has worked best for me is what I call value-first engagement. Before reaching out to someone new on any platform, I spend time understanding their interests, challenges, and goals based on their content and activity. Then I engage with their existing content in meaningful ways before ever sending a connection request or direct message. Common networking mistakes to avoid. Even with the best intentions, many professionals sabotage their networking efforts through common mistakes that are easily avoidable once you recognize them. The business card collector mistake is probably the most widespread. These people focus on meeting as many people as possible and collecting as many business cards as they can, believing that quantity equals networking success. In reality, they create shallow connections with everyone and meaningful connections with no one. It's far better to have 5 substantive conversations than 20 superficial exchanges. The pitch slap approach happens when someone launches into their sales pitch or elevator speech within the first few minutes of meeting someone. This immediately signals that you see the other person as a potential transaction rather than a human being worth getting to know. The most successful networkers spend 80% of their time learning about others and only 20% talking about themselves. The one-way value proposition occurs when networkers focus exclusively on how others can help them without considering what they can offer in return. Even if you're early in your career or new to an industry, you have something valuable to offer. It might be a fresh perspective, energy and enthusiasm, or connections from other industries or life experiences. The follow-up failure is perhaps the most expensive mistake. You invest time and energy meeting people, have great conversations, exchange contact information, and then fail to follow up effectively. All that initial investment becomes worthless if you don't nurture the connections you've started to build. The authenticity trap happens when people try so hard to be authentic that they overshare personal information or behave inappropriately for professional settings. Authenticity in business networking means being genuinely interested in others and honest about your own goals and capabilities. It doesn't mean treating business events like therapy sessions or social gatherings. The social media stalker syndrome occurs when people research someone extensively before meeting them and then reference information that could only have come from deep social media diving. This makes people uncomfortable and violates the natural progression of relationship building. Use your research to prepare thoughtful questions and identify common interests, but let personal details emerge naturally through conversation. Mastering corporate networking and introductions isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming the best, most helpful version of yourself in professional settings. The skills we've covered today can transform your career, but only if you consistently apply them. Your networking success depends on 3 fundamental commitments: showing up consistently to networking opportunities, focusing on giving value before receiving it, and following up systematically with the connections you make. These aren't complicated concepts, but they require discipline and persistence to implement effectively. Start with the Spark framework for your next networking opportunity. Practice your 30-second story, introduction, until it feels natural and conversational. Set up a simple system for following up with new connections within 48 hours. Most importantly, Shift your mindset from what can I get from this person to how can I help this person succeed. Remember Sarah, the startup founder I mentioned earlier? Our relationship demonstrates the compound effect of authentic networking. One thoughtful, value-focused relationship led to multiple clients, numerous referrals, and ongoing collaboration opportunities worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over several years. But more importantly, it led to a genuine professional friendship that enriches both of our careers. Your network is your net worth, but only if you build it with integrity, consistency, and genuine care for others' success. The people you meet today could become the clients, partners, mentors, or collaborators who transform your professional future. If this video helped you understand networking in a new way, hit that like button and subscribe for more content about professional development and career growth. Share this video with someone who could benefit from improving their networking skills. What's your biggest networking challenge? Leave a comment below and I'll respond with specific advice for your situation. Until next time, remember that every expert was once a beginner, and every successful professional relationship started with a single conversation that someone chose to pursue thoughtfully and authentically. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.